What is up? Welcome to this week's episode of Lambgoats Vanflip podcast. I'm your host, LURK. Today I'm joined by, how am I going to get through this band name? I didn't try to pronounce it beforehand because I wanted it to be a naturally pronounced band name with you on the air. Clemens, a.k.a. Ardek of CARACH ANGREN. How close am I? How off am I?
It sounds amazing, yeah. I mean, there are several ways to pronounce it. We say CARACH ANGREN,
Oh, boy.
but we're Dutch. A lot of people say CARACH ANGREN. I think it's all right.
I apologize then for my butchering of it. I'll call it CA from here on out. So that way I
Cool.
don't offend or ruin anyone's legacy with their name and whatnot. However, welcome to the show. How you doing? You're all the way from Finland today. Oh, I don't know if you're technically from Finland today, but I know you are at least based in Finland originally. So are you there today as well?
Thanks for having me. I'm from the Netherlands originally.
Netherlands, okay.
I'm in Costa Rica. I live in Costa Rica since almost 5 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it's about noon here now. I'm still early.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right around my timeline. For some reason, was thinking the reason we had to schedule it a certain way is because you're so far ahead of me in time, which happens periodically because we do have European metal bands on all the time. So I'm used to it.
Yeah, of course.
But
no, I don't know. Yeah, for me this time was fine, but I think a lot of them are around this time. It depends. Like sometimes it's interviews from Europe, then it's US. Changes all the time.
Not to like completely hijack the conversation right off rip, like I was trying to tell you, it's loosely based around music and stuff like that. But we'll just go ahead and derail it real quick, right away. I'd like to know why or how you came to live in the Netherlands or be from the Netherlands to then fly to Central America to live in Central America and Costa Rica. Because I live in Florida, so it's not very far from where I'm at as far as
Close.
as far as temperature wise and stuff like that. So I can understand why it'd be alluring, but you're from an area of the world that's a little more cooled off and gets darker earlier and everything like that. So I know it stays lighter down there by the equator longer and it's just hotter than hell. So what made the big jump for you?
The wife.
That'll do
I
it.
met my wife since 8 years, and we were doing like the long distance thing, and then right around the pandemic hit, Costa Rica was one of the first countries to open up again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pack my stuff and I'm off. That's how it happened. And I like it a lot. I mean, it's very different indeed. It's tropical.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's cool. And I adjusted to it well. I had to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going well. So there might be at some point we might go, for example, to the Netherlands again, where it's not all set in stone. But right around that time we made that decision, and it was great. I built my studio back up here, and because I've always been working from home, so I always say it's the same room, the same small room in a different country, which is literally the thing.
That's true. It's true. Was your wife from Costa Rica, or did you meet her in the Netherlands? Okay. So I didn't know if she was there for work or whatever, and then you just kind of long distance it for a little bit and then joined her. But it sounds like you met her there, or at least in that area of the world.
Yeah, exactly. She's from here. Yeah.
Interesting. Awesome. And has she? Obviously you probably traveled down there, when you're not touring or not, doing work stuff. So how often had you previously to moving down there? How often had you spent? How much time have you spent down there in Costa Rica prior to moving?
Quite a lot. It was 3 weeks, 4 weeks, always like that. And then every 2-3 months we would either go this way or she would come the other way. And that was actually that worked very well because I was very busy with my own life. And then we would have this time together, and then she was very busy with her studies and all of that. But then when the lockdowns happened, it was suddenly 7 months in a row, and that was kind of hard. That disrupted the whole thing, of course. And that's why at that time, we decided to make that jump, because also no one knew what's going to happen. It's going to be locked down again. It's going to be extended, etc., etc. So
You got
but
to
before that, it was like constant travel, and I mean, that's the benefit of touring, that you can always jump off at the end of a tour and make a quick trip here or there, or like
True. And you got to experience the pandemic in Central America, I guess, or at least a large part of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was interesting because my family and friends, of course, were in the Netherlands, so there were times that we could go here to restaurants and they were not allowed, and vice versa. It was like, and you also saw how people reacted to it and all of that. It was very interesting to have that experience from multiple sides, if you will.
Yeah. I did the podcast during the pandemic, obviously, and that's when we started doing these Zoom podcasts, although before it was all in person for the most part. But I started doing these Zoom podcasts, and then obviously the pandemic's going on, so we're talking about the pandemic and all this other stuff going on. But the weird thing was, is I was talking to everybody, like not only all over the country here in America, but I was also talking to like, people in Europe and people in different countries that were discussing what was going on there. And, you were in Costa Rica, I live in Florida, so it was a much different experience, obviously, than most of this country did and most of the world did. So it's just interesting to even, think back about that. Was so long ago now, but it's interesting to think back to that.
Yeah, it seems like another lifetime almost. It's like this fever dream or something. It's a very strange time was that. Yeah,
that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So we'll get back on track here. You guys just released last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago at this particular point, a new EP, The Cult of Kariba.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't butcher that one as bad. But yeah, you have a new like a 5-4 song EP that you guys just dropped. That's kind of like probably a holdover because you had a 2020 album, and then I'm assuming you guys probably have plans for some other work down the road or maybe material down the road, but we can get into that later. However, I do want to kind of jump into the band, and because we went right into like your living situation, so I want to get into some music and band stuff. But I find it interesting the type of band that you guys are, that the project is. It's like it's you and another person, so it's a duo kind of, and you guys handle everything yourself, so to speak. But then I kind of noticed that there's like a lot of theatrical storytelling and kind of like themes throughout most, whether it's the EP or the albums or the songs or whatever. So I kind of want to like touch base on that, like how that concept even came to come to a fruition, because you guys have been around for 20 years, so I'm sure it's like at this particular point you got the idea has been thought out and curated very well. But in the beginning, what was the idea?
Well, first, what I would like to say is that I underestimated the whole idea of an EP, because for us this feels more like an album. Actually, it's just a bit shorter,
right?
And it's like brand new songs. There's a whole theme story going on. But I got this reaction a lot from people that think like, oh, it's an EP, it's just a bunch of remixes, or it's like a little bridge. But actually for us, it was just like, it was the same as an album. It was just a couple of songs shorter, but it was the same amount, if not more work, because if you don't nail those 4 or 5 songs, then the whole thing will collapse. Like there's no breathing room to put something else. And but I honestly underestimated that people have this conception of or like this concept of an EP, that it is like maybe like, and I think a lot of times it is that people just put a bunch of remixes. But because the story actually was pretty short, so that's why we chose this format. And because at some point there was a talk like, why don't we make it to an album? But it just didn't fit. It would have felt like filler songs, and we really don't do that, and that would feel weird and betrayal to the concept and to the fans and to ourselves, of course. So it is what it is, but so I tried to get that message across during the interviews as much as possible.
That's the microphone. This is the microphone. That was my water bottle I was trying to talk into. Not that I was downplaying the EP. I was just,
No.
You had a little lull as far as from the main LP in 2020, so I was just curious as to like if it was a holdover between the materials, but you know.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, and like back to your question, like when we started, indeed more than 20 years ago, we just had like we were always rehearsing together and building songs. We had a couple of songs, and at some point, like already in 2004, we wanted to do a release, just to have something like a demo to send out to labels, to shows, things like that. And I was thinking at the time it would be cool to have like one story. And in my mind, a lot of bands were actually doing that. To me, it was not something new. And it felt like, okay, it can be like this concept that can make work easier because you have like a definite theme. You don't have to go like, okay, what's this song about? What's that song about? And how we're going to connect them together. So for me, it was like this super helpful thing to make this demo, the Chase Fold Tragedy back then. Also artwork wise, everything is done very clear. So we did that, and that was about the moving coffins on Barbados Island, and it worked really well. And then the next one we did the same, and we sort of kept doing it, and then we got feedback that people said, "Wow, this is so unique and original," but we had no clue. We were just like, we really like to do it like that. Like, okay, well, let's just use those stories and connect everything, and then we just kept doing it, and it evolved, so to speak. Yeah.
Where do you now? Is it one for the last 20 something years or whatever? Has it been one overarching story that is connects? If for the person who's not familiar with the band or the lineage of the story or whatnot, but like, is it an overarching story, or do you select different stories per different like project or whatever? Like the EP could be specifically about something or whatnot, because you seem to be kind of like a sometimes you get kind of called like cinematic horror metal. So I would assume like that has like a tie in to the lyrics and the storytelling.
No, every time we do a different story, and it can just be something that we encounter or that we are excited about. Sometimes I run into something, sometimes Dennis Sarah runs into something, we talk about it. And the teams are, they vary a lot. For example, we did one about that came to a phantom ship. It's about the VOC and like ships and pirates and everything. Captain van der Dekke. And then we did a Hansel and Gretel, interpretation, very dark, which is almost about domestic violent themes and very cruel kind of stuff. So it just depends what comes to mind. Now on this EP, we go back to our first full-length Lammendam, and this is basically like an extension or even a prequel of it. So that's the first time we actually connected two releases. It was kind of cool to do.
Interesting. I mean, this isn't something that comes from your area of the world. It comes from your area of the world a lot. In European metal has a lot of thematrical or themes and theatrical elements to it and whatnot. And it's very more diverse, and a lot of it is like lore based, especially in the Netherlands and the Scandinavian area. There's a lot of like, Viking mythology and all this other stuff that's kind of tied into the metal up there, which makes it, a little, I don't want to call it cool or different or whatever, but just makes it a little, adjacent or off of the traditional norms or whatever for us, I guess. But for you guys, it's like a everyday thing. You guys, every type of metal is out there in Europe, which is insane. But no, it's interesting because again, like it's tied into some lore. It's somewhere along the line for a lot of like the Scandinavian metal stuff, and I was just curious if that also plays into the story. Choosing the stories. Is it like a current day kind of event, like you said, you might have experienced something in current times or whatever. I don't know if you select that into a story, or do you reach back and have to have like some kind of like horrific theme from back in the Viking times or Elden days or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, it can be anything. And also when we started like there, especially in black metal, you have a lot of like fixed themes, satanic, etc. And a lot of great bands that do that already. Wait, I'm going to pick up my dog because my dog is here.
It's okay.
He's old and blind, so he starts like making sounds.
Yeah, that'll happen. They get
Yeah.
like that sundowners and don't know what time of day it is. I got one at my feet right now. I got a little guy at my
Oh,
feet, and
cool.
then one big guy will probably come walking around in here and just want to hop up in my lap at some point. But I'll try to get him down. You know.
That's great. Yeah. No, so this one, yeah, then he stops when he's on my lap. So, no, but yeah, so what I was saying is like a lot of bands. I mean, just to name a couple like Marduk, Dark Funeral, like those bands, they already nailed it for many and still are doing it for many years on those teams. So we always felt like, yeah, there are so many bands doing the same, copying that. And so it also felt like, yeah, let's do something that original in that sense, like try to find our own way and without having any expectations of like success or like in the beginning, no one liked us and no one was listening to us like any band started out. And it was just having fun and being creative for the first years, and it slowly picked up. And it still is the same process. Like we are still exactly the same. Like we work on the stuff, we're on the phone all the time, and we're excited. And that's really cool. And I think that's why we've been doing it so long. It has never been like, oh, we want to achieve this many listeners, or people should think this, or like, it has always been like hobby, creative, and passion in that sense. And even if no one would listen to it, we would probably still be doing it, which is crazy. But now we're very fortunate, of course. But yeah,
I was gonna say, luckily people do listen, so you can.
I mean, we never take that for granted, and
Right.
we're super proud of that. And but it originated from within, like from this, passion for this kind of stuff. And indeed, there's a lot of folklore in Europe, a lot of history. So there's, places to pick it up. And I like a lot of books, and Dennis likes movies a lot, so he watches a lot of movies, and we share things that we see or like we read, and then sometimes an idea just pops up. It has to be something that we feel connection to, because you can find so many horror stories or ghost stories. You can
Right.
just go online, but it has to be something that you feel intrigued about. It has to pull you in, else you're not gonna be excited. Like, and sometimes that happens like in a conversation, or indeed like something you read. Like for this release, I was actually reading short stories by Lovecraft. I never read Lovecraft before. And that somehow really connected well to the story from Lammendam. That's when you get inspiration and you try to combine things and
Interesting.
come up with it. Yes.
Didn't he have? Is he the one that has the Cult of Cthulhu? Is that him?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Is that kind of where you borrowed from the title on the new EP? Did you borrow from that, or is it just something separate completely?
Maybe subconsciously, but what is really cool about his writing is that it's hard to explain. For example, he writes a lot about like there's bad things going on. Like someone's in a city walking around and he feels people watching him, and like there's this. When you read his stories, you really feel like the character and like this dread, this ongoing dread. And I think that somehow stuck with me. And I was thinking at some point, there's actually a funny story. When I just lived here, we live upstairs in an apartment, and I would look into the street. I would always see this weird man, and he was walking with a stick like this. And I was always joking to my wife about it. It's like, there's a man with the stick, and she was like, oh, stop it. And at some point I was like, what if this is like a secret sign for cult members to gather?
Yeah, right.
And she was like, oh my God, you're going to put it in the album now. I said, yeah. So I put that in the intro, but then the guy is carrying a lantern. And my idea was like, what if there is like this secret sign that like people from every day, your neighbor, the baker, like, and they gather at night to do fucked up shit. Like,
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't that?
Kind of a twisted idea to me. Like,
That seems like it would be a movie or an actual thing that would happen in reality. So yes, I can see that.
Yeah, so I try to put that in, and so we tell the historic ghost story from a modern perspective, so to speak. And that's how it happens, like just reading and coming up with things and then putting it all together. Like,
What outside? I want to know.
Yeah.
like if you don't mind, and you don't have to give the entire lore or storyline behind the cult of Caribia or Cariba, but what is the like, you know, just give me like a 60-second elevator pitch of the storyline for that.
Well, Cariba is known to be a witch, and we don't know if it's actually true, but we found a poem from 1870 where in this poem was written about her and that she was hiding in the forest, poisoning people, no one could come near. There are some separate stories of betrayal. Now, on our original album, Lamendam, we talked about a similar story, which was the white lady in the forest near Schinveld, that exact place. So what's fascinating is that there is a white lady ghost, but there's also this Cariba witch, and we don't know if they are the same or if they are, it's like a spin-off. But we found out that the original story we talked about had much more layers and would even go back to medieval times. And I think that's cool about like these ghost stories, that people add things, subtract things, it's mouth to mouth. And so we took this Cariba witch and we added some ideas to it, like what I was just saying, that there is a cult trying to bring back her ghost from the past, and it goes wrong and she takes everyone back into her grave. So kind of a simple narrative there, but
interesting.
Some things happen along the way. Yeah.
My girlfriend's watching this old show, not old, it was like 2013 or whatever, but it's got like Kevin Bacon in it, and it's called The Following, and it's basically just like he is a FBI or like a, you know, like an agent for something, and he's like chasing this cult guy down, and it's just 3 seasons of that, and it's just like I get annoyed sometimes when I walk in the room because I'll sit down for a second not wanting to watch it, but then of course you're like, oh no, what happens? And then I'm like 3 shows in, I'm like, I gotta get out of here, dude. What am I doing? But yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I have to watch that one. I haven't seen it.
The cult stuff is kind of you know, I like to dabble in the cult stuff too. That's why that particular show kind of like draws me in a little bit, not because I'm a big Kevin Bacon fan or the show's content is that great. It's just I get, you know, stuck in watching to fucking find out what happens to this cult. You know? But
yeah, it's addictive in that sense. It's like what's gonna happen and like, is he gonna find them, etc. Yeah.
I mean, as a band who dabbles in dark imagery and dark everything else, are you fascinated with like macabre, like destinations, like or dark tourism or anything like that? Do you go, like, if you go somewhere, like say you're on tour or whatnot, and you know of a thing that happened somewhere, would you go seek that out just to see if like, oh, this is where Jack the Ripper did whatever, or this is where a mass suicide happened, or do you ever dabble in those kinds of things?
Not super much, but sometimes, like, or I like to visit museums or like these rarities. There's like an app, I think, that points out where all these obscure things happen. Like our merch girl Lauren in the US, she took me sometimes to places. She had this app, which was kind of cool. But sometimes I visit graveyards, like things like that. Yeah. Sometimes.
Well, I mentioned that because we were talking about the cult thing, and all of a sudden I just got reminded that I went and viewed the Waco. Do you remember the Waco cult thing in Texas, like in the 90s? The FBI burnt the house down, and there was a big standoff for like, you know, a month or whatever. My girlfriend's family lives like an hour outside of Waco, or a couple hours outside of Waco in Dallas, and you know, we went and visited, and I was like, that would be cool to see. And I guess we drove out there and saw it, but that was like kind of the start of our dark tourism kind of bug. And then we started doing that like more often, just because it's a little off the wall, I guess, you know?
Yeah, but no, I like that too. Yeah. So you do that a lot.
Periodically when we have, like, if there's something in the area that we don't like go visit it just because of that. But if there's something where we're going and we like seek it out or something like that, like, I saw like Kurt Cobain's house when we were in Seattle, where he shot himself. So you know, you can go and see that. You can't go in or anything like that, but you can go into the address where it's at and stuff. You know.
Yeah, but it has something because you know when you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a memorial outside, a bunch of like people just right on the fence and stuff. But it's someone's house. It's like a, you know, I don't know how much. It's probably like a double-digit $1 million house at this point because it's in a nice ass neighborhood. But there's graffiti all over their fence, you know, for the curtain.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like here we went to like an abandoned psychiatric children's hospital here in Costa Rica, and it's even more odd because it's like, yeah, you know, Florida is like this palm trees, warm, sunny, and then there's this creepy abandoned place in broad sunlight, but still it's kind of creepy. Like you walk through it and you see like, yeah, here's where they would lie down, and like it has something. Maybe it's just the imagination, or it's like the smell of the old house, or what. It's cool. Yeah, it has something.
I'm sure it's a lot of all that. It's everything you've ever seen on television or read about, ingested in your brain. Then, like, you know, you just are putting that into the moment and into the area that you're at. So it gets I get creeped out too a lot. We used to go into this. There's this school here in town that was like 100-something years old. It's still standing. It's like dilapidated, so like the roof's caved in and stuff like that. But 20-something years ago or whatever, when we were in high school, we would like drive out there and like sneak into the basement. It was condemned or whatever. We'd sneak in the basement and just like walk around. It was just like, you know, at night at 3:00 in the morning, you're like 16, 17 years old. It's like the scariest shit, you know. So we would go out there periodically and just rummage around. Sometimes you'd run into another group of kids that were there. Sometimes you run into like homeless people. So it was always a crapshoot. You never knew.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool, especially when you're young, and like we would go into the forest all the time.
Oh yeah. And
it would also be like pitch dark, and like it was unsettling, but you want to be tough, eh? You want to be know-it-all 16, and like, so it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you guys have like, I don't know how many urban myths or legends about things in the woods, I'm assuming, you know, growing up.
Yeah, and then Dennis has this book full of like little stories, and there's like longer stories, but there are also a couple that were just 1 or 2 sentences. And there was one, let me think how it went. It was something like, yeah, you know, this place near the old bridge, when you listen carefully, you can hear the wind howling through the bones of the ones who were hanged there. And, you know, it's just 1 or 2 sentences, but it speaks to your imagination so much. It's like, holy shit. Sometimes a story of like 50 pages cannot put that in your mind.
Right. No, it's good. Because then, you know, that area probably does make some kind of noise. And so it does.
Yeah. You stand there near the bridge and you hear something. And things like that. That's awesome. Yeah.
It's crazy. To get back to the band a little bit, I kind of want to know a little, because it seems like both of you guys are very, like, your partner is very into movies and whatnot, and so you play the keys, and you guys are very symphonic with the music, so to speak, and it kind of like over the course of the last 20-something years, it's kind of elevated, like you've incorporated more of that orchestral and like symphonic sound to the music. But like, what are some of your kind of like influences with that? Was it like movies and like just composers that would, you know, score these movies, or how did you guys like really get into that element?
Yeah, I have always been a fan of like movie scores forever. Anything like from John Williams, Hans Zimmer, but also Christopher Young, but also classical composers like, you know, all the big names. I was really into Tchaikovsky at some point, Stravinsky, Bach lately a lot more, but at least anything that's not verse, chorus, and that stuff is like, I was always listening to these scores. It can be horror, but also like other things. Like I was a big fan of Jurassic Park still. Like the score is amazing. Like it has these uplifting parts, and then there's also horror and thriller. And to me, it's always like, even if you listen just to the score, you already see something in your mind. Good scores, right? So I have always been into that, and I think that morphed kind of into what we do. And we're actually telling stories, like sometimes quite literal, like she opens the door or runs inside. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to put these spiccato cellos, creating that sense of like being haunted and running. And that's kind of cool when you basically make soundtracks. You can go in all kinds of directions. You can also start happy, go back to something very dark, because a lot of metal is always aggressive,
Right.
or a grade of aggressive. And we sometimes, like, we have albums that almost start like Disney, like it's very happy, but the idea is that then you can take it down even further because you start from the other side. And also in the songs, like sometimes there's very happy moments or like very light moments, and that's everything you can do with this sort of genre. And I think that's why I like it so much.
And then do you think like black metal, death metal share like composition with classical music? Do you think they kind of like are related in a certain way, or is it just very different?
No, there's definitely a relation. Like if you listen to classical pieces, older ones, first of all, sometimes they clock half an hour or like, let's say 7, 8, 9 minutes, and there is not a chorus. And if you take something like Bach, just the short piano piece, there's no chorus. There's just a build up. There is like the theme evolves into something else and then it stops. Like, where do you hear that now? Like all the pop songs now are like, it starts and then there's like a verse and there's a chorus, and that can be great as well, but that has been the standard for many years now. And I think in metal we have kind of this, even if you have something like Cannibal Corpse or indeed like what I was saying, Marduk, like it's just like parts that go into each other and weave into each other and create like this sonic soundtrack, just like classical music. So I think you hit it right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I know a lot of people like to correlate two things together, but with classical and classical music and then black metal is just kind of like very like, what the hell? You never would assume that they're together. But
Yeah.
there was another thing I was going to ask about something like that. Let me see.
But even like if you think about the dissonances, if you can look it up, like when Stravinsky played for the first time, like The Rite of Spring, everyone walked out because it was so dissonant, they didn't know what to do with it. And a lot of that dissonance is also into extreme metal. Like,
yeah, true.
So if you would look at it from a technical angle and you would analyze the notes and everything's going on, there's like a lot of similarities. Yeah. Although the execution is very different, of course. But
I will say dissonant notes are what really cemented me wanting to be into this world here. For some reason, when I was younger, that was like I like that, the way that sounds. When you're writing, because you write not only just for fucking one instrument, you're writing a bunch of different instruments. Do you just write it like, do you just play it, record it, and then remember it, or do you tab it out? Do you write it by hand? Do you like, how do you go ahead and like keep all these ideas layered upon each other in one piece? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, sometimes an idea is just in my mind. I can be in the car and then a rhythm comes. Sometimes I put it in my phone or a melody, and then I play it and I record it. But I almost play everything on the piano. And then I pick, for example, a string sound or a horn sound. And then I pick up the guitar, then I pick the bass, like things like that. So, I like to play almost everything. Line by line, and then it's like sculpting. And what happens a lot of times is that there are songs, for example, that I play entirely on the piano, and then in the end there's maybe 2 piano notes left because the guitar comes in and takes part of it. So I take the piano part out. Sometimes songs start out super orchestral, but then by the time the drums and everything comes in, I take most of it out again because it's like fighting with each other. And so it's like a whole process, it's like sculpting.
Yeah. Speaking of writing music and whatnot, do you have an opinion, whether it be good or bad, and you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but what are your thoughts on like AI music, and you not only AI music, but using AI to kind of like help write or create music? What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously in the last couple of weeks here, it's gotten kind of crazy with all the, I don't know if you've seen them, but like there's been a lot of like rap songs or other older rock songs that have been turned into like '60s funk songs that are just like really cool sounding, but a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. So I was just curious as to, your position.
Wow, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, like everyone else, and I'm
Right.
on forums and Facebook groups with composers, and a lot of people are worried sick in every industry. And like I'm like one part of me, I like computers, I like technology. I've been into this, like, to be honest, like if you think about it, like I'm building orchestral scores
Right.
thanks to technology that was not possible like 20 years ago. Now a lot of people do it, and even 10, 15 years ago, like I had to invest a lot in computer power and a lot of money just to get it running, and it was crashing all the time. Now it's much easier and stuff, but it was crazy. But you cannot. So I admire the technology. We have all this big data, and basically there's so much data that you can just do this and get something out of it, which is awesome in a way. And you cannot put it back into the box. That's the thing. And I understand that there are people that are like dabbling into this that have no idea how to come up with a melody, and they just prompt, or they like to generate something, or like with images, it's the same. However, like I can, for example, generate an image, but I have people I work with, like, for example, people that do photography and artwork. Like, I have no idea what I created. Like, the guy might come in and say, yeah, but this little shadow and the texture and the contrast there is off, and like, blah, blah. Right. I had no idea. I just look at it. And I think it's the same with music. I don't like to use it so much because it just doesn't feel like my melody. I also, like, there is a lot of software with pre-programmed sequencers and melodies. And I always try to stay away from that or tweak the hell out of it. But that's just me. Like, I like to feel. And then there's the argument, like, now there's nothing original. That's true. Like, we all listen and we create something new, but just to press a button and to upload it to Spotify, to me, yeah. I mean, but we also created all of this because we have been, like, everyone has access to a computer. Everyone can make music now. And everyone has been creating the same amount of music and the same style of music for years. Even without AI, there was so much already. Like, I've been composing for media as well, and like, there is so much stuff, and good, but also extremely mediocre stuff and bad stuff. And I don't make everything that I do is not great. Like, I make a lot of mediocre stuff and things I look back to, like, blah blah. We created this environment also where everything sounds the same. So, well, I try to look at it like, okay, AI is just making variations very well on what we have done. So I try to take it as an excuse to go into the opposite direction now, or to do something completely different, and eventually AI will pick up on that too when you release it. But it's more of a mindset, because if I start to worry about it or stuff, for some time I was worried, and also people talking to me and like, yeah, it's over, it's over for you, like with music, it's over with the arts. Like, people, they also want you to fail in a way because you're on this path.
Of course.
Oh yeah, now you're done. Like, things, yeah. And but I just try to stay away from it. And the interesting thing is, like, knock on wood, I still have a lot of work. So yeah, but to look into this and to think about it, and I don't really use it a lot. No, I don't use it at all.
Yeah,
no.
It's an interesting thing because I think what people originally think is, like, you can just pull up whatever AI and be like, make me a song, and it just puts the song out. Yeah. Technically, it can do that, but I mean, in order for it to be decent or good or whatever, there's so much that goes into it, and I think that the common person doesn't realize that it is, I don't want to say like a skill set to make a song with AI, but it's something like that. So it's not as easy as you think. It's not as hard as it is as you think it might be either, but it definitely is a thing. And I've heard a couple decent remakes come through my way, and I'm like, damn, that does sound good. And it almost is like, I wish a band, or I wish not a band, but I wish someone would do this song this way anyway. And chances are, someone probably did. The big one right now, I think, is like 50 Cent's Mini Men it's like saying like it's by James Brown or like in the style of James Brown. And like, I'm sure somebody somewhere in some part of the world has already done that in real life.
Yeah.
But, you know, it just was cool that when, you know, I heard it, it's just like, it's a cool way to spin that song, I guess, because it's so different. But, you know, anyone, I'm sure I'll get hate for listening to that in general. Just listening to it, you'll get hate. You know what I mean?
No, and there is actually very good stuff. I also heard some very interesting things. I listened to it, and what the machine outputs is crazy sometimes. And sometimes it's even better than some of the songs that get released, which makes sense because it's a machine, and you know, it just can do it instantly.
Yeah. And I think that's where my interest is in hearing it out or listening to it. It's where, like, what is it making? Like, and then there are parts to certain songs, and I'm like, yeah, God damn, that part is fucking pretty damn good. Like the transitional breakdown part or something. It's like it's just a non sequitur part. I'm like, dude, there's no reason why that AI should have done that, but they did it, and it sounds great.
Yeah, but also, like, the thing is, like, for me, like, when you listen to, let's say I find an AI song and I think it's amazing, the first thing I usually do with an artist is like look them up, like who is this guy or woman, and then you can't because they don't exist. And where is it recorded? Like, as a musician myself, I always look like who was the engineer, who mixed it, who mastered it, which studio were they recording, what is the guitar, but there is nothing of that, which makes it a very hollow experience for me, because it's like sad. It's like we're gonna go like into movies as well. Like imagine like you see a movie and no one exists. Not the actors or the director doesn't exist. To me, that's crazy. And I think a lot of people still want that connection. That's what it's all about. Like you want to read about it. And
I mean, I wanted movies to go back to how they were like when they were making them in the 90s, early 2000s. You know, like
me too.
Good storylines, a good cast. They went on location everywhere. I just wanted it like that, and now we're going to get even further from that because it's all going to be Sora music, Sora movies. You know, they're just going to create fucking fake everything, and that's where the video part of AI is weird because it's getting really good. So it's like it's scary.
I saw some commercials they did completely AI, and they were kind of funny actually.
Oh, so for that YouTube has a bunch of them. YouTube has a bunch of commercials that are AI that most people may not even pick up on.
No, you see like some older generations, like my parents' generation. You know, they share these things on Facebook, and you see like I still see it. Like, okay, that's not real. But these people go off like it's crazy. I don't know where we're heading. No one knows. This is the interesting thing.
Yeah, we're just in the middle of it, and we're gonna ride it out and see what happens. Did I was I wrong in reading this? But because we were talking about scoring and composing, do you do that for video games too?
No, I haven't done a video game yet. I had some placements so that someone bought music, put it in a game.
Okay.
Like a Roblox game and things like mobile games, and so
you gotta start getting that Roblox money. You know, that's a big moneymaker apparently, from what I hear on the internet.
I think so. Yeah, but it's kind of cool. Like I have this service that scans YouTube for me and then tells me which of my tracks are used in which videos to monetize them. And then sometimes you see, like suddenly there's a bunch of videos with a game, and then I realize it's in a game. Someone bought it somewhere. Like I offer it for sale on their various websites and things like that. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
I got a couple off the topic questions here. You mentioned earlier that you were a reader. I'm curious as to, like, you know, outside of you reading Lovecraft, like you mentioned earlier, what are some other like authors that you enjoy to read, or types of books that you enjoy to read?
I love Michael Crichton's books. Coming back to Jurassic Park, like I almost read all his books, and it hasn't been a while since I read it, but every time I pick it up, it's just like what you're telling me with the series, like it lures me in. Because, I mean, it's not real what he's telling, but he has, by the time he wrote his books, like he did always so much research that it feels completely real. Like he knows everything about it. So it's very scientific often. Excuse me. And so those books I enjoy a lot. Outside of that, I like philosophy. I read a lot of books by Nietzsche. That has been some years ago, but I love to go into that. But that stuff goes very deep, so you need to be in the mood and like.
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah, it's like digging and digging. It's like a rabbit hole. So I'm not reading that all the time. Yeah, but like everything between that. Yeah.
Interesting. I just read a trilogy, but it was like a horrible trilogy. It was like a fiction series, but it took forever to get through it. It was like a chore getting to the last book. And, you know, I know that you can put books down and just move on, and that's what people do. But then I was like, in my head, the same with that stupid fucking cult show. I'm like, oh God, what the fuck how does this book end? I know it's going to end badly. It's not going to be like great, and it's going to be not worth, you know, the amount of time that I'm putting into it or the amount of that I'm thinking about it. But of course I had to finish it and saw it out. It took 6 months to finally get through it, but
holy shit.
Yeah. And it wasn't that big of a book. It was like 400 pages. I just couldn't bring myself to read it. I'd go weeks without picking it up, you know, but it happens.
It takes time. That's the thing. Yeah. But no,
cool. Well, I'll kind of wrap it up here because, you know, we got things to do. You got stuff to do. I got shit to do. But other than that, like I just said, new EP out. Oh man, do you guys have any? I know you're sitting at home right now, but what are the live dates looking like for you guys? You got
next summer we're doing festivals in Europe.
Okay,
those are coming in right now.
I was gonna say
we're trying to develop some other plans, but that's still all coming.
Yeah. I didn't see any of those new tour dates when we were posting, because we usually, you know, incorporate the tour dates and whatever else you guys got going on with whatever the band is doing. So the last couple singles, I noticed we haven't had dates attached to that, so I was just curious about that. But Clemens, aka Ardek, I appreciate your time today. Enjoy. Wait, do you surf? I have to ask because you're a Costa Rican now. So do you surf?
I used to do it sometimes, but no, not anymore. No,
it's all good. I live at the beach too. There's sharks in that water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear they have crocodiles there as well. So.
Yeah, we got crocodile. Oh, we got alligators here for the most part, but the great whites have been like kind of like off the coast here in the last couple of years, so they keep me out of the water a bit. You can't really. We have a river that flows north. The St. John's flows north, and it spills out into the ocean, so it churns up a lot of like, you know, just stuff. So you can't really see our beach isn't crystal clear water like all of Florida. Ours is like a little murky, so you can't really see that much in the ocean right out here. So I stay away.
Well, sometimes people here they get attacked by the crocodiles. There were some tragic stories, like someone got eaten. And,
oh yeah, we got that too. A lot of dogs on golf courses. Walking your little dog on the golf course. There's always, if there's a body of water, there's going to be a dinosaur waiting in there for you. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, Clemens, it was great talking to you. I appreciate it. And again, Season of Mist, you have the the Cult of Carabia out last week, or the 17th of October. Pick it up, stream it. It's on everywhere. They'll, like you just said, you'll see them next summer in the festival season, and who knows? Watch Lambgoat for more information on the band. You never know.
Thanks for having me.
No, yeah, it's all good. Thank you very much.